Wind is changing, and that could be bad news for Lahaina. Summer season is over and winter is coming, and therefore we're going to look at some new weather patterns. And onshore winds in Lahaina are bad news for the schools and the people living on top of the burn zone. But let us explain for all of you that might not be all that weather geeks like I am as a surfer and wind sport enthusiast. If you look at this low pressure that we see here that is spinning to the northwest, this low pressure is forecasted to continue to move further south and to the east. And as you can see, we already have the wind blowing onshore here where I am, and the wind here never blows onshore, or very rarely. This is because of this low pressure. As this low pressure moves closer to the island, it sucks up the air from the south. This is what we call over here so-called kona winds. And those kona winds are forecasted to increase. Today is Saturday, and we're going to keep an eye on those kona winds, because if those kona winds increase, that means the wind is blowing from the ocean up to the mountain. And this is exactly not what we want with the air quality and all the ashes and the soot that is still laying down there in Lahaina on the ground. We know that soil tack is being applied, but I'm not sure if that soil tack is being applied fast enough for the entire amount of ashes to be prevented to move uphill and into zones where people are actually still living. All right, as we said, we're keeping an eye on these winds. Right now the wind is not as bad as you guys can see, but the weather pattern sure has changed. We're having now the weather coming from the other side with the town opposite of me, and we're probably have about 10 knots of onshore winds. Not drastic. There's some rain clouds behind over Lanai. You can see that over here. So this is not severe, but as we said, that low pressure keeps dropping down. We're losing the trade winds. Our regular weather pattern is no more. The town here behind us, so the wind is definitely blowing onshore. But again, it's not drastic, but I'm sure wondering what that does to the air quality, possible ashes. I know the soil tack is being sprayed, but however, definitely an interesting story to keep our eyes on as we continue progressing into the week. It definitely picked up a notch. Last night, it really got windy at my house. And I'm telling you one thing, it's blowing probably about 11 knots onshore here in Lahaina. And now I'm really not sure if I were to send my kids to school when it's blowing this direction. I have no idea where they are with the soil tack and everything, and you can feel the wind coming in through these windows, which is usually not the case. The burn zone is right over here behind the next building. So I don't know guys, but I got my mask here, and as you can see, we are cleaning up like mad. Right now I'm trying to get my office taken care of, everything out, so this will be the first spot that I can move into. That would be nice to get back to that. Tomorrow I'm going to be working at the hotel. I picked up a shift at the timeshare, and that's going to be interesting to see, because I haven't been in touch with the hospitality industry in a good 3 weeks since I was last scheduled. That's going to be interesting, and we're definitely going to talk about that. Okay, almost midnight, coming back from a hotel shift, and we can talk a lot about that. I haven't been at the hotel in a long time. There are a lot of stories in there. The guests, the occupancy, and all these employees that are still living in hotels and condos, not knowing where it's next, not knowing where to go. Occupancy at the hotel there, timeshare is 60%-ish, very low for timeshare. Conversations with the guests, this was pretty much, we don't talk about what's going on with Lahaina. It just doesn't come up. Don't want to have to repeat with everybody, but the story to me is definitely everybody that works there is still living out of a hotel room or a condo. And some employees that live in a non-burn zone near Lahaina were being sent home because they said the home is livable, you can go there now, even though the air quality in those areas is a concern. So we can unpack and talk. There's so many stories. It's not easy. It's hard, man. It's hard. So you guys remember how we talked about yesterday, the hotel, the occupancy, the tourists, so many people still in housing, not knowing where to go. And as I'm driving back to my shop, I actually had this striking thought, this idea. Because think about it, if you come to Lahaina, you drive through Lahaina to go to Kaanapali. If you come to West Maui, you have to drive through Lahaina. And you cannot not see the burn zone, neighborhoods that burn. So everybody that comes here at first will have to see this before they check into a hotel, before they do anything, before they go out dinner, before they go play golf, whatever they do. That's what they see first. And you guys know I'm trying to fight. This is not going to be forgotten. And I'm just thinking these people will all see this. These tourists are coming back. They will all be reminded and they will go home and the neighbor will ask, so how was it, Lahaina? How did you see anything? And people will say like, yes, saw this, we saw that. And I think that is going to have an impact with all these people going back to their neighborhoods, telling their friends and family and neighbors how it really looks like here. See, we are doing the stairs here and there is so much to do, and today was ultra interesting since I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing with my unit, maybe rent it out or at least part of it. I had a guy from a company named ECC, that's the Army Corps of Engineers #1 contractor, to come clean up your property. And I just need to share with you what this guy said, because that was so much knowledge. They went through the Paradise Fire and the guy said they had 32,000 properties. I always thought Lahaina was the biggest, but that is only concerning the loss of life, not the amount of properties. So they cleaned up 32,000 properties and it took them roughly a year and a half to a year and 3/4. So he felt they could do it faster here. However, Hawaii is more complicated to operate in because there are cultural sensitivities that need to be respected. It was super interesting. They are getting the properties assigned by the Army Corps of Engineering. So people can sign off and say like, yes, Army Corps of Engineering is cleaning my property. And we talked about that. These projects are going to be 75% funded by FEMA. So FEMA is paying 75% of your property cleanup and the other 25% are getting back billed to the insurance company. So it does not sound like a bad deal to me. Then they're starting with metal. After that, all the concrete and all of that has to go, and nobody can save their foundations. A 3,000 degree fire, he told me, the concrete will just crumble away. Just touch it with your finger and it will crumble away. Then they got to go 6 inches deep with the soil. There has to be an archaeologist on site before they're taking everything for cultural sensitivities. We had that before in the news. There has to be a cultural practitioner. And once your property is cleared and they give it back to the county, you can then build. The interesting part of it was also, according to California, because Hawaii could be different, but according to California, you can rebuild rather quick if you just rubber stamp your initial building plan. So nothing new, nothing changed. You can then just start rebuild according to California law. That's not what, it might be different here, so take that with a grain of salt. But that's that. If that were the case, I mean, great, you can build with your existing plans and you can be the first in line to start building. So that is actually kind of good news. And the really good news is also, this is supposed to start next Wednesday, November 1st is the official start, according to this guy, not to me, that phase #2 cleanup will get started. Guys in tie-back suits, and then we were also talking about where is this stuff all gonna go? How many truckloads of stuff? And this is exactly what the guy said. Yes, I mean, this is not like in California where you can just bring in people and you bring in trucks. Here it's definitely a little more complicated. They're hiring as many local subcontractors as they can, and stuff's got to go to the landfill, stuff's got to be sorted out. So this is going to be huge. And what's also huge is my cleanup here. So I'm going to get back to ripping out, tearing out, throwing out, vacuuming and doing all of that. And hopefully, if you guys follow along long enough, you will see what this unit will look like when I'm done. Who knows when that is. Alright you guys, it's Friday, it's time to release this video. It's time to haul out more carpet, and one thing is for sure, it's already not smelly anymore in here now that I'd say about 1/3 of the carpet is gone. Boy, what a crappy job, but it needs to be done, and I can do it myself, and you guys are part of this, how we are moving along. And I hope you enjoyed yesterday's. So it's just continuing day after day, one video at a time, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then compile this all in a diary. Thank you guys so much for following, and we'll see you, hey, you know when, you know where, in the next video.